I apologize on behalf of my daughter. She is a medical student, and it seems like she's very busy with her studies. On the day of the pre-wedding meeting between both families, there was an empty seat at the table for the groom's family. My mother-in-law and father-in-law noticed my gaze and apologized in unison, looking quite sorry. I told her to come, but she didn't listen. Daniel, my husband, grumbled about his sister and bowed his head to my family. My family and I smiled, telling them not to worry. Perhaps feeling relieved by our action, my mother-in-law said, "We'd be happy if you could get along with our daughter." I nodded in agreement. Yes, of course. At that time, I didn't think too deeply about the situation. Since my in-laws and husband left a good impression, I assumed my sister-in-law would be the same. My name is Sarah, and I'm 33 years old. I just got married to my husband 2 months ago. We're planning to have our wedding ceremony sometime next year. Around the same time as the family meeting, my mother got sick and was hospitalized, so I wanted to hold the ceremony after she fully recovered. My mother has always talked about her dream of seeing me as a bride. Until then, we decided to enjoy our time as a married couple, with me being a full-time housewife. Before getting married, I was a doctor at a certain hospital. However, due to my busy life, I lost my mental and physical balance, which began to affect my work and daily life. I had patients to take care of, so I couldn't quit right away, but with the encouragement of those around me, I resigned from the hospital. Maybe a large hospital wasn't the right fit for me. While I was feeling ashamed and blaming myself for being an unworthy doctor, I met my husband, and after dating, we got married. My husband, who grew up in an ordinary family, was surprised to know that I was a doctor in the past, but he looked at me, not as a doctor, but as a person. "I'll do my best to make sure you're always smiling," he said as he worked hard every day. I put my heart into cooking and housework for my husband's sake. The reason I can live with a smile now is that my husband's presence is very important to me. Thanks to my recuperation, my health has been gradually improving, so I'm thinking of finding a job utilizing my medical license soon. However, amidst our happy life, there's one concern. It's the presence of my sister-in-law, whom I haven't met yet. According to my in-laws, she leads a busy life as a medical student. We were supposed to meet at the family gathering, but she didn't attend because of her studies. She apparently passed her exams in one attempt, so I think she's very talented. A few months after the family meeting, my husband and I got married, so we completely missed the opportunity to meet her. I hope we'll have a chance to greet her someday. That's what I was thinking. One day, my husband and I were out in town. We were having a great time looking at furniture and matching tableware together. As we were about to take a break, we heard a woman's voice saying, "Hey, isn't that Daniel?" My husband turned around, and I followed his gaze. A flashy young woman wearing a low-cut dress, high-heeled pumps, and a strong perfume scent was standing there. "Lisa, what are you doing here?" As the woman called Lisa stared at me, I felt a little uncomfortable. My husband introduced her to me. "Sarah, this is your first time meeting her, right? This is my sister, Lisa." "Oh, so this is her. Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah." So, this was my sister-in-law. She was different from what I had imagined, but I bowed my head politely and greeted her. Judging people by their appearance is not right, is it? The moment I reflected on this in my mind, my sister-in-law laughed, as if to mock me. "Oh, right! You're already married! So, this is my sister-in-law, huh? My brother is handsome and has a high income, but he married such a plain older woman. What a mystery." I was taken aback by her blatantly rude remarks during our first meeting. It's true that my husband is 4 years younger than me, good-looking, and earns more than the average person since he works for a major pharmaceutical company. I can understand why someone who doesn't know us might think we're not a good match. But I couldn't comprehend the nerve it took for her to say that to my face. As I considered that my sister-in-law and I might not get along, my husband stepped forward to defend me and scolded her. "Hey, don't say something so rude. And you should greet her properly. You didn't even bother to show up for the family introduction because of your own convenience." She just laughed carelessly, not seeming to care. "I had a group date, you know." "What? I thought she was too busy with school." I was shocked by her reason for not attending, but I decided to intervene to keep the peace. If I didn't, my husband might become furious, and it could lead to a fight between siblings. "Come on, we got to meet today, so it's all good. Lisa, let's get along from now on, okay?" She glared at me. "By the way, what do you do for a living? I'm going to be a doctor in the future, so don't get too familiar with me, okay?" I was taken aback by her "I'm great, I'm special" aura. Did I make her pissed? I've met many people with high pride, but she was exceptionally blatant. I tried to calm down my husband, who was about to start yelling, and answered, "I'm currently a full-time housewife. I used to be." However, my sister-in-law interrupted me before I could finish. "A full-time housewife is nothing but jobless. I can't believe a social garbage like you is my sister-in-law. Or are you just a parasite sucking up my brother's money?" I wanted her to apologize to all the full-time housewives in the world. My cheek unconsciously twitched. In her mind, full-time housewives were equivalent to jobless, but that's taking it too far. Trying to handle the situation in a low-key manner might have backfired. "Lisa, stop it! Sarah isn't the kind of person you think she is. It's okay, Daniel." I calmed my husband down. In just a short time, I felt like I understood what kind of person my sister-in-law was. There's no doubt she's smart since she passed her exams in one shot and hasn't failed any classes. However, her personality seems to be a major problem. Being a doctor is a wonderful profession. It's a difficult path, but please keep working hard. I smiled warmly at her. "Excuse me? A jobless person pretending to know something. I don't need you to tell me. Oh, by the way, since I'm still a student, I'm exempt from giving a wedding gift to my brother." Throughout our conversation, my sister-in-law had a condescending attitude, and it seemed like my husband had lost the energy to get angry. "Just go away." He gestured to shoo her away like an animal. She complained in response. "I went out of my way to talk to you, and you're so ungrateful. Whatever, I'm busy too." She said, "See you," and left. Once she was out of sight, my husband deeply bowed his head to me. "I'm so sorry about my sister. She was so rude to you. She used to be more decent, I swear." I shook my head and said, "It's fine." Honestly, my impression of my sister-in-law is close to the worst, but it's much better than causing a sibling fight because of me. We exchanged greetings, and from now on, I'll just keep my distance. "Thank you for defending me so many times. Let's have some tea to change the mood. I want some delicious coffee." When I smiled, my husband nodded in relief. A few days later, I visited a large hospital nearby. Holding flowers in a tote bag with a change of clothes, I put my hand on the door of a private room. "Mom, it's Sarah. How are you feeling?" As I opened the door, my mother was smiling happily on the bed. I regularly visited my hospitalized mother, helping her with her changing clothes and daily care. Today, she seems to be in pretty good shape. My brother Kevin, who had just removed his stethoscope, answered on behalf of my mother. My brother works as a doctor at this hospital, and he's keeping an eye on our mother's condition. Seeing his familiar face, a gentle expression naturally softens on my face. "Hey Kevin, long time no see." My brother smiled and said, "Yeah," as he continued to record our mother's progress. I put down the tote bag and sat on a round chair next to my mother's bed. Dad was here just a while ago, but he left for a conference. Bad timing. "It's a shame we couldn't all be together a little earlier," my mother chuckled. In short, this is the hospital my father runs. I used to work here as a doctor, just like my father and brother. It feels a bit strange to say it's both my childhood home and former workplace. After enjoying some parent-child conversation for a while, my mother started to fall asleep, saying, "I think the medicine I just took is starting to work. I'm getting sleepy." I covered her with a blanket, and Kevin and I shared a laugh, thinking she might have felt relieved seeing our faces. We then left my mother's room. After leaving the room, my brother and I sat down on a sofa in the lobby. "Are you and Daniel getting along well?" my brother asked. I nodded in response. "Yes, we're enjoying our days together." He laughed and patted my head. He's been a worrier when it comes to me, even after I got married. "We were all worried when you quit the hospital. Meeting Daniel was the best stroke of luck." I think Daniel's presence played a big role in my recovery. As we continued to chat, a nurse approached my brother, and he excused himself. "I'll be right back. Just wait for me." I acknowledged and watched my brother go to see a patient. He should be quite busy, being next in line to our father, the director. Just having had the time to chat was close to a miracle. I should have been helping my father and brother at this hospital. A feeling of melancholy crept in, and I started to feel down. "What's jobless Sarah doing here?" I looked up at the familiar, loud voice. My sister-in-law was smirking down at me as I sat on the sofa. Her emphasis on the word jobless bothered me, but I kept smiling. "Hi, Lisa. I'm here to visit my mother. You know, this is the hospital, so could you please lower your voice a bit?" Just as I started to feel annoyed, I ran into an unpleasant person and inwardly groaned. She ignored my subtle warnings and continued to speak loudly as usual. "Wait, your mother is in the hospital? I came here today for my internship." I had a feeling that was the case from her appearance. It's not surprising since she's a medical student at a university around here. However, I really didn't want to see her if possible. And her outfit doesn't seem right to be here. I casually glanced at her attire and couldn't help but be appalled. It wasn't as bad as the last time we met, but her makeup was flashy and her hair was loosely tied. I doubt she has much time to fix her appearance, but I wonder if she understands that. When I worked as a doctor, I wore makeup too, but I prioritized cleanliness and kept it to a level that wouldn't make patients uncomfortable. I wonder if anyone has said anything to her. As I glanced around, I saw a few medical students and doctors from this hospital behind my sister-in-law, their faces pale with confusion. Most of the doctors in this hospital are my former colleagues, and many of the medical students seem to have just learned from the other doctors that I am the daughter of the hospital director. To them, she must seem like a reckless medical student who's being rude to the director's daughter. Thinking that my sister-in-law's loud voice would be a disturbance in the hospital, I tried to suggest we move somewhere else. Lisa, could you lower your voice? It's bothering people." As if she was doing it on purpose, Lisa interrupted me with an exaggerated sigh. "You, a good-for-nothing daughter, snagged a high-income guy like my brother. I bet your mother is relieved. You're probably making him pay for your mother's hospital bills, huh?" Just like a trashy mother-daughter duo would. She smirked and made sure everyone around us knew just how shameful a person I was. Not only the doctors and medical students, but even the passing patients frowned at Lisa's awful words. Being called a good-for-nothing in public, and having my unrelated mother insulted, pushed me to the limits of my patience. "Hey, you need to stop. This person is..." One of the doctors couldn't bear it any longer and tried to intervene, but Lisa wouldn't listen. "She deserves to be told off like this," she laughed carelessly. The doctor who intervened frowned at her words and said to her dismissively, "Your life is over," before leaving. She seemed to not understand the meaning of the words. My brother, who had finished his errands, returned at that moment. Seeing me and my sister-in-law facing each other and the strange atmosphere around us, my brother tilted his head. "Oh, Kevin!" Her attitude changed dramatically when my brother appeared, and I was taken aback. I never thought the phrase "play the hypocrite" would fit so well. She changed her tone of voice and approached my brother. I couldn't help but notice that even her appearance seemed to have changed. Kevin is young, talented, and quite handsome, even from her sister's biased perspective. And as the successor to our father, he is very popular. I instantly sensed that she was targeting my brother. "Sarah, did something happen?" At the sight of my brother calling me by my name, she glared at me. Kevin, are you close with this person?" She casually referred to the doctor from her internship by his first name. As I was dumbfounded, Kevin slowly distanced himself from Lisa and answered, "Well, yeah." Perhaps not finding my brother's response amusing, she persisted, "But, this person is married, right? You didn't know that, did you? You should be careful, Kevin, since you're popular." Her nasal, whiny voice was annoying. It seemed that my sister-in-law misunderstood me as a rival for my brother. "I know. She's my sister, after all." At his words, she froze. "Huh? Wait, what?" I desperately held back laughter at her surprised expression. While she stood there dumbfounded, the doctor who had intervened earlier whispered something to Kevin. He must have explained the situation. My brother's expression quickly became stern. "Wait, so Sarah is the daughter of the hospital director?" I nodded in confirmation to the bewildered sister-in-law. "Yes, I'm his daughter. I used to work here as a doctor, but I had to quit due to health issues. Now I'm recovering and temporarily being a full-time housewife, doing my best with housework." My words left her pale. I had heard from my husband that she was hoping to get a job at this hospital. She must have realized that because of her insulting words about me and my mother, which reached my brother's ears, her chances of getting hired were now slim to none. And her dreams of a wealthy marriage were dashed too. I glanced at my brother's profile and smiled bitterly in my heart. "Unbelievable," he muttered under his breath. It seemed that she had never been on his radar in the first place. "Although, I've heard that you are very talented as a medical student," I continued. Upon hearing my words, her shoulders trembled. "I think there's a problem with someone who easily calls another person trash or makes fun of them before even becoming a doctor. Unless you realize what the problem is, you don't have the qualifications to be a doctor. Put your hand on your chest and think about it." In a tone of admonishment towards me, everyone around is nodding in agreement. She has been lectured by a person who she used to look down on, and even my admired brother is disappointed. It's been a series of humiliations, and tough for sister-in-law. However, I didn't want her to continue on as a doctor like this. I believe that doctors not only have a responsibility concerning life, but also must empathize with people's hearts. Huh? I don't get it at all. My sister-in-law couldn't bear the atmosphere and abruptly turned around, running away. Don't run in the hospital. Eek! A passing nurse scolded her, and my surprised sister-in-law tripped and fell spectacularly. Kevin and I exchanged glances and chuckled. 6 months passed. My sister-in-law, who had always been known for her bad attitude, ended up completely isolated after ridiculing me in the hospital. Her pride led her to drink heavily, resulting in a severe injury and hospitalization. Ironically, she found herself needing a doctor's help and finally seemed to understand her arrogance. I'm so ashamed. I want to apologize to Sarah. I heard from her parents that she spends her days regretting and reflecting on her actions. She decided to take a break from medical school, and after her discharge, she plans to change her ways and work hard, but she's in for a rough road. On the other hand, I secured a new job as a medical doctor at a pharmaceutical company. My work involves researching and developing drugs and verifying the safety of new medications. My father and brother asked if I'd come back to the hospital, but I want to start fresh, with a new place and a new job. My mother's health has improved, enough for her to receive home care, and she's looking forward to attending my wedding next year.